Hey guys, hope you're having a brilliant Sunday. I'm back with another lesson from the School of Hard Knocks. This one is a good one. So I had an amazing conversation with my mother this morning. We could just sometimes go on for hours just talking. And it really sparked my remembrance of something that transformed my life. It really unlocked so much conscious awareness of just things that kept leading me into the same situations, had me replaying these patterns and cycles over my life for, no joke, y'all, like 25 years, right? These similar patterns playing out where I'd have good periods and then they'd crash, right? Just constantly leading into these same undesirable outcomes. A lot of them were dealing with relationships. But my kind of aha moment came a few years ago when I was able to look back. I had a moment where I was looking back over situations and patterns in my life, and I had a very powerful revelation. And that revelation was this: that I was the common denominator in all those situations, right? Over 25, 30 years of my life, people that came, they did not know each other, the connection, the common denominator was me. And when I had that realization, it was it was kind of difficult at first, right? I mean, it's when you're looking back over at things and you see that a lot of situations have led to destruction, hurt, pain, caused hurt and pain in relationships, people you care about, things like that. It can be a little bit heavy. But when you get through that, you are hit with the revelation that, well, wait a minute, if I had a contributing factor, if something I was doing, if I had a role in manifesting those situations and I played a part in that, then that means that if I can figure out what that is, then I have the power to keep from finding myself replaying that cycle or pattern again, right? And so that is what I did. That is exactly what I did. And something very profound that I discovered was that the fundamental patterns, especially in romantic relationships, involved a lot of betrayal, lot of very serious deception, a lot. And what I came to realize was that when I went back through and looked at what it was going on in me, what was it, the wrong understanding, I realized that a lot of the deception, the betrayal, that was being engaged in towards me, other people were engaging in those behaviors towards me. It was actually a reflection of the deception, the self-deception I was walking in, and the constant acts of self-betrayal and self-abandonment, right? Things like ignoring red flags, things like having certain knowings about things, just being unsettled about things I was seeing, but not being able to have evidence in the physical to be able to confirm that, and doubting myself, right? Deceiving myself, doubting myself, betraying myself, abandoning myself, not listening to my heart, and remaining in situations out of just the fear of what if I'm wrong, right? And not having the confirmation of stuff going on in the environment that I could, have the smoking gun that would make me feel like I'm right, And so I doubted myself. And a lot of that contributed to not only me finding myself in the situations, but definitely remaining in them for much, much longer than I should have. And that led, of course, to me experiencing consequences that were much more destructive, much more impactful, caused much more negativity in my life, right? And so in talking with my mom this morning, one of the things that I just kind of stuck out was how there's so much of my life that when I got to a certain point, I was able to look back and see how so many situations, how the things that were manifesting around me and happening around me, it was like a mirror. It was like a mirror. It was like there was a mirror in front of me, and the individuals, the details, the things that were happening were reflections of the exact things that were going on in me that I just did not have any awareness of, that I was not aware of, right? And this got me into thinking, when I got off the phone, I had a very powerful and just kind of very simplistic thought about this and way to, analogy that makes so much sense that I think would be helpful. And that is this, I know everybody has had that situation where you get something in your eye, right? You get something, your eye's irritated, you can't get it out. And you're sitting there, you try to get it out, you're playing with it, but nothing you do, you can't get it out, right? And so you go and you seek out a mirror. You seek out a mirror because why? Right? We seek out a mirror because from our vantage point, from the vantage point of self, right? I can't see what's in my own eye. I can't see something on my face, a smudge on my face, or like something in my teeth, right? I cannot see that, right? So either somebody's going to come up to me and say something, hey, you got a smudge, hey, there's something in your teeth, right? Or I'll walk into a mirror by mirror and I'll happen to see it. But at the point in time in which I can become aware of something on my face, something that because of my vantage point in my body that I cannot see, is when I'm seeing it in a reflection in the mirror, right? And so when you got something in your eye, you make an effort to get it out. But if you can't get it out and it's irritating, right? You go seek out a mirror and you look in the mirror, right? And when you do that, when you're looking in the mirror, you look at the reflection, the image of what's being reflected back to you. You look in the mirror and then you open your eye, and it's then that you can now see your own eye. You can now see what it is that's in there. You can locate it. You can see what it is, right? And you can successfully at that point, what you couldn't have done without going and looking in the mirror, you can now remove from your eye what it is that was causing you so much irritation and discomfort, right? And the thing is, my whole life, it's just such a great analogy because my whole life, right, was spent kind of doing that. And, when you go and look at your reflection in the mirror, when you're standing in a mirror, and you've got something in your eye, right? You don't lift your hand up and point to the mirror, what you're seeing in the mirror, the reflection of your eye in the mirror, and try to wipe it away, right? You don't do that, right? Because it's not going to remove what it is in your eye. It's not going to end or bring any more, cause the irritation to go away and the discomfort to go away, right? Nobody would do that, right? When you look in the mirror, you use it as a guide. You use it as a guide to show you. You know that the source of the discomfort, the source of the irritation that you're feeling, it's not coming from the image being reflected back to you in the mirror, right? So you wouldn't go and try to wipe it away. The only way to get rid of the irritation, to resolve what's going on is by looking in the mirror so you can see it, and then lifting your hand up, and instead of pointing at the mirror and trying to wipe it away, right, you turn it to yourself and point, right? You lift it up and you use it to point you to the source of whatever it is that's in your eye that you were unable to remove without having that mirror to show you, right? And it's such a great and very powerful analogy because that was what I did my whole life, right? And listen, don't get me wrong, the situations I was finding myself in, the stuff that was happening, the deception and the stuff that people were doing, it was very real. It was very serious, right? I'm not diminishing that. I'm not dismissing that. I'm not, this is not about placing blame. It's not like, oh, they're off the hook. I blame me. It's my fault it happened. That's just not it. And it's so irrelevant at the end of the day, right? Because the relevant part of what I'm saying, the purpose of everything, right, that I say, these lessons, is empowerment. It's empowerment, ways in which, right, I have found ways to not have to continue repeating the same cycles and patterns and finding myself in the same situations over and over again, right? And that's what it's about. And it's so powerful to have that thought, right? The thing that maybe scares people, right? To sit back and look at situations, and instead of looking at the speck that we find and see in somebody else's eye that we can see very clearly, we can see what's in somebody else's eye because they're standing in front of us, right? We cannot see the smudge, what's in our teeth. We can't see what's in our eye. We cannot see that. We can see it on other people though, right? It's only when we go and we're looking in the mirror that we can then see what it is we cannot see from the vantage point of self, right? And it's very, very empowering, right? It is such a dynamic and empowering truth that I came to realize, right? And when I stopped doing that, when I stopped looking back at the situations and looking at what was done to me and instead stop pointing at the mirror, and instead trying to look at the mirror to help me locate and identify the source of whatever it was in me, right, that was being shown to me in that mirror. It literally transformed my life. It was probably one of the most transformative truths and revelations that I had. And it really it sparked, when it hit, it became such a powerful thing for me that every situation, the first thing that I do every time, I don't even want to know. I don't even look at what somebody else is doing. As soon as a situation arises where there's something happening that is not matching what my desire is, I look at myself. What is my contribution? It's the first thing I do. What am I doing? Have I fallen back into something? Do I have wrong understanding? What is this bringing up in me? Am I having an emotional response that's kind of disproportionate to what's happening, right? Because all those things, they're cues, they're little guides that are showing me something, right? And I'm not saying that every time it ends up being that I'm contributing to it, right? But once I go through that process and I evaluate myself first, right? Because that's all I can change. I can only change my response. I can't stop anybody from doing anything. I can't stop them. I cannot change what they want to do. I cannot stop somebody from lying. I cannot stop somebody from being deceptive, right? But what I have the power to do is recognize, am I walking in deception? Is there something that I have ignored, a red flag in me? I'm picking up on something. My emotions, my nervous system is telling me I'm feeling unsettled about something. Am I ignoring something? Was there something that I ignored, a red flag that I ignored, right? Because that is what I can change. My choice, and where I am empowered as a conscious human being, a powerfully conscious human being who is no longer a passive participant in the experience, the life that I experience, and who is very active, wants to be a very active, as in had enough lessons and was beat over the head enough with these lessons in life to not ever want to have to go that route again, right? I have the power to be able to make decisions and cause and be able to have the choice in the experience around me and what happens, right? And so that's what I focus on, right? If I can't find something there, then it's something that can be done. You know what I'm saying? But first base always starts with me. It always starts with me. That thing that I say all the time, right? My spiritual practice, right, is show me, right? The moment something hits, and I don't always catch it right away, but if I'm starting to, all of a sudden, I've been irritated, even if I don't catch it at first, if I find myself driving down the road, right, and somebody has cut me off, I have been feeling irritated, somebody cuts me off, or somebody, doesn't accelerate through the yellow light that I was planning on accelerating to follow them through, right? And they decide to stop. And I am literally road raging and aggravated. Stuff like that to me, I stop and I'm like, whoa, what's going on, right? And when I start to find myself with very irritating things happening around me, and then it finally is enough to get my attention, I can then step back and look what is going on, what's happening, what has caused me to move into the state of very reactionary, irritation, snapping type stuff. And when I do that every time, the more you engage in this, the easier it becomes to go back and find exactly what it is. And once you find that, right, now you have the power, you have the knowledge, you have exactly what you need. You have what the mirror was trying to show you. You can find the source of the irritation, right? You can find the source of the irritation. You can see what it is in your eye, and you can remove what is in your eye, right? And so, this was just a little, lesson from the school of hard knocks, something that popped up this morning in a conversation with my mom I was reminded of, and I wanted to share that. Anywho, I will be back at you guys again, I'm sure soon. I hope you have a brilliant remainder to your day and enjoy some football, because I know I will. All right, thanks, guys.